Hello boys and girls, it's Memory Verse with Ms.T. This week's memory verse is from the book of Ezekiel chapter 37 verse 4 and it says, Then he said to me, Prophesy to these bones and say to them, Dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Then he said to me, Prophesy to these bones and say to them, Dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Have you ever felt like a dry bone? You wake up in the morning and you just don't feel like doing anything, or you're feeling sick in your body, or you're tired and lethargic, and you're just feeling like, you know what, I don't feel like getting out of bed today. That kind of sounds like a dry bone experience. The Bible talks about the story of Ezekiel and how God took him to a valley filled with bones, and God told him to prophesy to the bones. And before we knew it, those dry bones became a large army. So whenever you're feeling like a dry bone, why don't you prophesy to yourself and say, This is what God says. I am strong. I am healed. I am wise. I am bold. I am courageous. You say to yourself, Tosin, hear the word of the Lord. You can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. That is how you get yourself out of a dry bone experience. And I promise you, definitely, God will cause your life to be as exciting as the army that rose up that were once dry bones. So our memory verse again, Ezekiel chapter 37 verse 4. Then he said to me, Prophesy to these bones and say to them, Dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. So learn it, remember it, hide it in your heart, and prophesy to yourself to hear the word of the Lord when you feel like a dry bone. Bye.
I'm gonna hide the word in my heart.